Today we're going to look at UPL's Ship Paladin, also known as Uchu Senkan Gamora, perhaps one of the strangest shooting games ever made. There's been speculation that NMK developed this title, but it's not true. While the large ship sprite is reminiscent of an NMK game, that's where the similarities end. UPL's titles have always been a bit on the quirky side, and Ship Paladin clearly shares more DNA, both in terms of game design and the development team, with earlier UPL shooters like Atomic Robo Kid than anything NMK ever made. It does, however, utilise the NMK16 driver that was developed for Task Force Harrier, so I understand why this misconception came about. At first glance, Ship Paladin looks more like a typical euroshmup than something that came out of Japan's arcade scene. Not only is your ship gigantic, but you see that meter in the lower left-hand corner? Yeah, that's a life bar. Red flags right off the bat. But where Ship Paladin differs from your typical euroshmup is that these things are taken into account with the level design to ensure that you can actually 1cc the game. You have your standard shot that charges when the button is held down, but where things get weird is the beam. Holding down this button will allow you to freely aim it anywhere on the screen, although you can't move your ship while doing so. Now, the beam has a bullet cancelling property, so it's a required mechanic. It is literally impossible to dodge every bullet when your ship takes up such a large portion of the screen. Personally, I think this is actually a really interesting premise for a shooting game. Knowing when to switch between normal shooting and bullet cancelling takes a lot of practice and isn't something your shmup fundamentals will help much with. You have to switch between the two shot types while aiming swiftly and accurately, which requires a pretty high level of execution even if you have the level memorized. The biggest problem is that the difficulty is so unbalanced. While large sections of the game pose little threat to the player, there's multiple points where taking damage is seemingly inevitable. The Stage 4 boss has laser attacks that just can't be outran or cancelled with the beam, meaning you need to tank hits while killing the boss as quickly as possible. This type of design doesn't leave you with a very wide margin of error. There's parts of the game that literally can't be completed without enough speed ups, which combined with the instant respawns means you can lose your entire credit from dying in the wrong spot. This makes Ship Paladin one of the few games that would actually benefit from a checkpoint system, as it's actually pretty generous with the power-ups at the start of each level. Unfortunately, the graphics are not very appealing, with even the game's Mega Drive port arguably being more technically impressive. The soundtrack, however, is the game's strongest aspect. Ship Paladin has some of the best music in any shooter, period. It's testosterone-filled, adrenaline-pumping shit, in line with the tonality and quality of Toaplan's best works. With each track sounding like a bass-boosted FM battle hymn, it's sure to get you hype. It was composed by Yoshio Nagashima, who also did the music for other UPL games and would go on to create the soundtrack for JJ Squawkers. However, I think that this is his best work. Well, that's Ship Paladin. Overall, I think it's a decent game. It could benefit from a lot of refinement in the level design, but the mechanics are genuinely novel and interesting. While bullet cancelling might be more commonplace in modern shooters, Ship Paladin's execution remains unique over 30 years after its release, and that alone gives it at least some appeal. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the best euroshmup ever was made by a team of Japanese people.